Hi, I'm Nan Simonsen. I'm a nationally board certified health and wellness coach, and I'm here today to talk about a book that's not even out yet, that's coming out. How did I hear about it? Why do I know? Well, because I happened upon an interview with the author, Mel Robbins. Some of you know Mel Robbins. Some of you are watching this because you recognize the name. She's as they say, a force to be reckoned with. She is really prolific with the written word, with her podcasts, with recommendations for life. And she's very, very open about her own personal challenges and, as she'll explain them, shortcomings. And what it's led her to is a international following. So let me tell you what I'm talking about. The title of this video, if I don't change it, is The Wisdom of Mel Robbins' Let Them Theory. The book, I just stopped myself because I'm thinking, could I have copied the cover and shown it to you? Yes, I probably could have, but you can look it up. Just go to Amazon and Let Them, or just Mel Robbins, and you'll see her most popular books. In any case, um, I came upon an interview of Mel Robbins and Oprah. Oprah invited her to her home. Mel Robbins, without being gushy or um, diminished by it, she rose to the occasion, but was clearly very, very proud and very excited to, and as she said to Oprah, as they hugged, she said, "Thank you." I don't know if she said thank you for acknowledging me, but whatever the word was, I'm paraphrasing. That's basically what she said. Wow, you think I'm somebody. And can you imagine how thrilling that is? And later in the interview, she said, "This is my dream. I've always wished I always knew that I wanted um, to be with you having this conversation." And again, that's a paraphrase. Um, the title of the interview with Oprah, and you'll find it on YouTube, and Mel Robbins, is How to Improve Your Life with One Change. Oprah and Mel Robbins. That's the title. I'll put it in the description, but you can find it rather easily because I think, oh, I don't know how many hits it's already had, but just a massive number. And I saw this several days ago and I was taken. In the meantime, I've watched it. Well, today makes three times. It's a 50-minute interview. It's not overly long. And each time I hear it, I hear more about and in accord with what what Oprah said when she introduced it. So the new book is called Let Them. Actually, and that's the big print, but actually all of the precursor and the end of the title is The Let Them Theory. Um, and it's being released December 24th. I pre-ordered the book. I pre-ordered the audio version. I love doing that. I'm doing that with Mind Magic, and I'm doing it within the Magic Store, Dr. Doty's work, and working on his 6-week program. And it's great to listen on Audible and then have it in front of me. It's become a method. Well, because of my learning disabilities, my ADHD and my dyslexia, man, does that work for me. Um, okay, let me tell you a little about who she was, and then I'll tell you what Oprah said. Mel was an attorney, and due to a business venture that went bust, she was left $800,000. That's what, $750,000 in debt. And to help to try to make a difference, she went into motivational speaking, became a radio host, and then about 13 years ago, she did a TED Talk called How to Stop Screwing Yourself Over, and that was a instant hit. and it still is one of the highest rating TEDx talks. And she exploded into popularity. She has a New York Times bestseller. Well, actually, she's a New York Times best-selling author with her books, The High Five Habits, which I read and heard her do podcasts on, and The 5 Second Rule, which I thought was wonderful. And both of them have become mega hits, as well as her Mel Robbins podcast. I was saying to the group that's in the background, because every Tuesday afternoon we meet and I do this, and then we get back and talk about what this is, and then I can post just this part of it. I was saying that I've heard some of her podcasts where the swear words were flying around like butterflies, and so she can be real down and dirty, but I think I at least in I haven't heard that in some of the newer podcasts. So to quote Oprah, I have over the years read thousands of books, and this is by far one of the best self-help books I've read, right up there with all of the greats. The reason is that it's a life changer, and um, it is here to set people free. Can you imagine those accolades about something you wrote? And can you imagine how impressed Oprah must have been to put her name out there with these very strong and affirming words? Um, as I said, I've listened to the podcast twice, and so I have thoughts and notes that are sometimes in line and sometimes repetitive and sometimes um, uh, written out of sync or out of line. But I'm going to read you my statements and some information and then some quotes. Let them is centered around the idea of letting go of control over other people's actions and reactions. Her primary, let me make sure I didn't miss something I wanted to say. Okay. Her primary premise is this: if somebody behaves in a certain way, let them. Their actions are a reflection of their own choices, values, and priorities, not yours. Instead of trying to control, manipulate, or fix other people, focus on yourself and what you can do and what you can control. The key takeaways of the book are: number one, radical acceptance. Accept people for who they are and allow them to show their true colors without resistance or judgment on your part. Number two, reclaim your energy. Stop wasting energy trying to change others. Redirect that energy to yourself, your goals, your emotional well-being. And then three, boundaries and clarity, observing what people do without interference. That doesn't mean that you have to agree, but without interference provides clarity about who they really are and allows you to set healthy boundaries with that relationship. Oprah began the interview by asking, where did the title come from? And this is the fun part. And this was right up in the beginning of the book. Of their talk. Her son's prom and her daughter's reaction to her actions tell the story. And I'll tell you just a brief synopsis of it. She said, I went through the proms of my daughters and I had my anxious moments then just to get everything right. But we had 6 months before the prom to get ready. My son didn't decide, and must have been this last June. I'm in 2024, and this is, what is today? The 19th, the 17th of December. And so he decided 2 days before the prom that he wanted to go. And she said, I went into hyperdrive to get this done. And then he decided he wanted white tennis shoes with the tux after I figured out where I was going to get him a tux. She says, I believe they live in Vermont. She said, where was I going to find all of this 2 days before a prom that was already draining resources in the area? And she said, we got all that done. We were putting on my husband was pinning on the flower or on his suit. She said, I don't know where they were when this happened, but they were out, they were milling around with other parents and 20 other kids. And she said to her son, where are you going to go for dinner? And meaning, of course, you've got that plan because you go to dinner and then you go to the prom. And he said, I don't know. And so she went into overdrive about that. So she's getting more and more hyper because she is, as she'll say, a control freak and a very capable woman and used to being in charge and can be a control freak. And um, and then she said, out of nowhere, it started raining. And she said, and it was a rain, and nobody had umbrellas. And here these people are in the rain, getting wet. We don't have a place to eat. And the decision was, and I don't know if it was on the part of the son or the husband or whatever, we'll just go to the taco stand. And as she said, that might work for 4 people, but 20 people. And she's getting more and more anxious about what to do. And her daughter, was home from college, she said, grabbed her with authority and said, Mom, the kids wanted to go to the taco stand, and she's saying, no, 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 you can't, it's wet, and you're gonna, and she said, Mom, let them. And she said, yeah, but then they're going to all be all wet when they're tuxedos. And daughter said, so let them. Yeah, but they're going to da da da. And the daughter said, so let them. And that began her, how that percolated in her mind about when she was able to let it go and just let them deal with their own prom, dinner, wet clothes, ruined shoes, whatever it was. Let them, because she couldn't change it anyway. That was where the title came from. And that was another one of those brainstorm moments for her, because that became the base of what is going to be a mega hit book. As Mel tells, or as Mel says to Oprah, I learned to let them. And then the second part of this is, I learned then let me. And I'll describe what that means. Let them. Let them be who they are. Stop lying to yourself or kidding yourself about what you can and can't change. This lets you give space to others and to yourself. You get to choose how you show up. Let me is our acknowledgement to let me remind myself that I can always choose to think whatever I want of any situation, person, or event. In other words, I can decide how I'm going to internalize that. It doesn't matter what the event, person, or situation is. We need to stop making other people our problem. That's one of the big takeaways of this book. Further in the interview, she said, I've learned the more you allow other people to live their lives, the better your life gets. The more control you give up, the more you gain. Many of us have spent our lives giving up control of our lives based on the words and behavior of others and of circumstances. It's not our job to manage someone else's mood or behavior. We have control over only one thing, and that is our response. Just say, let them. Oprah said to Mel, or said of Mel in this book, she puts thoughts or the thoughts of Stoics, philosophers, and thought leaders into simple everyday language. And she quoted Mel in one area of the book that is could have been this situation, the catalyst for writing this book, although my guess is that she started writing this book in closer proximity to her son's prom. So Oprah quoted Mel in another area of the book when they were talking about the public space, our society. She said, everybody has already voted. It's done, like it or not. Nothing you can do about it. So move on. And now what is my response going to be? Remember that we always have power over what we think, not of what others do. Let it go. Mel then reminds us that we are never, ever stuck. Now, she mentioned this when Oprah said, let's talk about the place in the book about relationships. And Oprah said, Maya Angelou taught me something. When a person shows you who they are, trust them. That is who they are. Because apparently in that section of the book, she may talk about love relationships, or if somebody says they don't love you anymore, or if somebody, I don't know all the circumstances because they didn't get into depth to that degree in the book. But that's when she said, and that's when she reminds you that we are never, ever stuck. We can always choose our next action and thought. In other words, we're not dependent on anybody. We can find our own way. She reminds us also that we're much stronger than anyone else's opinion of us. Now, she said this as it related to social media, and I loved that because, well, I'll finish this and then I'll say because that. She reminds us that we are stronger than anyone else's opinion of us, saying, keep in mind that you need your energy, and to preserve it, don't give it away. Honor your time and your energy by honoring your power to let them, and then let me. This is especially in reference to social media and, if applicable, to those who I'm speaking to now, and our presence there. At your social media and what you create there, and she stresses this, is for you. It's your creative process. It's what you believe and feel, not for other people, and not as it relates to what other people will think of you. Some people turn themselves into knots, not of who they are, but of what they think others want to hear. Therefore, say to yourself, let me love myself, my life, and what I create enough to produce it to make me proud. And it's really easy. If any of you are on social media, when I wrote my book, Aging Powerfully, 4 years ago, to celebrate turning 70, and I'll be 74 in what, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. When I wrote that book, it was to celebrate the understanding that 70 could be the beginning of a whole new lifetime, that there's no reason with lifestyle as medicine, and that's what Aging Powerfully is about. Aging Powerfully, understanding that lifestyle as medicine, what we eat, how we move, who we communicate with and commune with others, how we sleep, our stress management, our avoidance of addictive substances. I've just named the pillars of health as it relates to the College of Lifestyle Medicine. And I'm kind of backing up now and introducing myself. I'm a health and wellness coach with a lifestyle medical practice going on 7 years now. And I see it. I see every day how lives are changed with a understanding of the power we have with our own lives. In any case, when I wrote Aging Powerfully a few years into my work with people and patients at the clinic, and I realized the power that we had, my social media was going to be my way to get this message out. The book says my mission in life now is to spend all the years I have left to spread the word about our power to accept our ability to completely direct, not 100%, so let me say not completely, but to a large degree direct the way we live our life, how healthy we are, how much fun we have, our vibrant joy. To a degree, we have more power than we think we do. And I began my social media just as a way to get the words out, and it becomes easier and easier, unfortunately, to never think it's enough, to look at what other people do, to look at what other numbers, to think that it should be a certain way because certain platforms like Instagram do things in a certain way. And someone's trying to show me how to do all that, and I don't want to because I don't want to do it that way. I don't want 5 words to work when 20 will. Because I'm a teacher trainer. I don't want to just throw things down, take a picture of it and say, here, hope you get what you need out of that. So this was my way. When I read this, I thought, oh, good. Oh, good. This is my way of saying, yeah, if I'm proud of it for me, for what I want, then it must be, at least for me, good. All right. Oprah added, the let them theory is about giving up control to make space for changes to happen, for people to play out their lives, and to not try to push others to do what we think things should be like. Life can be much more peaceful with this realization than when we thought we could change others or even spend our time judging them. Let them. Living a life that is fulfilled and on purpose, let them and let me. In summary, Mel Robbins' Let Them is about giving up the need to control others and focusing on our own lives. By letting people act how they want, you gain freedom, peace, and a clear understanding of who belongs in your life. It's a reminder that your actions are, or that their actions are about them, not you. So I would say, because this is such a, well, relatively brief synopsis of what I'm sure the book is about, I would say watch their interview. And if you're like me, it's kind of fun to rewatch and see how much you missed the first time, or at least the understanding that you gain a second time or even a third. I do it while I'm riding. I do it while I'm cycling in the morning or working out or in my sauna, or there's always something else going on during which I can listen rather than just sitting and focusing on one thing for the hour it takes to watch it. So that's possible for a lot of us. And I would also say, consider getting the book. I believe it's going to be a valuable way for us to maneuver going forward in a world that is divided in a number of ways. And I personally need to be able to look at something that I find disturbing and simply say, let them. Yeah, but they're doing, well, let them. Yeah, but they're saying, well, let them. You see what I mean? She says that since then, she has been able to change the way she lives her life with those simple words. Let them, and then let me decide what I'm going to do with what I can control to live my life as best as I can. Those are some pretty powerful thoughts, and I'm done. I hope you got something out of this. Consider subscribing to my channel, and I hope you have a great day, because I know I'm going to. And thank you for being part of our presentation today. Hope to see you again.